All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is April 8th, 2019. This is a Monday night webinar, evening webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Using Object Types to Scalp and for Runners. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on that? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. By the way, this webinar is also about your questions, so be sure and ask anything you want to ask, okay? I will watch the question log. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to get rid of the disclaimer, and we'll go ahead and go into the members login area first off. Now, this first 5 minutes of the webinar, I'm going to go over, since we get new people in, to basically go over where the training starts, okay? When Linda sends the email, when somebody joins up with us, basically we have a members area and it's password protected, and it's got user ID and a password, so you can't get into it without it. And we keep the links for the trading room in it. We keep all the webinars in it. Okay, this is tonight's webinar right here. This is Charles's Thursday, and this is his Saturday. All right, we have little PDFs right here that you'll want to actually open up. They're just little PDFs. This is about a 72-page PDF. Kind of shows some of the trade setups that we like. And templates in case you ever need them. And then we've got these little chart legends for Object Trader down here in JPEGs. And then this one right here is the ebook. Now the ebook is really important because, if a person wants to know, when we say to box something in, you need to know how to box it in, because we're going to call it where to box it in. So that's the easy part, but you've got to be able to know how to put it on your chart. So just simply scroll down to object types. And that's what we're talking about tonight is object types. And here's your using the region trades right here. Okay. And they're just very quick little videos. Okay, because there is a little bit to Object Trader. You can use the top button, you can use the bottom button, you can use it any way you want. And I'm going to show some of that here in just a few minutes too, and show some of the actual trade setups that set up this morning that were called. Okay, but this ebook, be sure and always take a look at it. If you ever have a situation where the strategy is grayed out, to give an example. All you got to do is look at this right here. You got a little video on it. Okay, if the strategy grayed out, that means you got Chart Trader turned on. Okay, so the ebook's real good for that. All right, now also on here we have 4 trade setups to memorize. This is a really important webinar that was done a few weeks ago. This really, if you just memorize a couple of these and make them your go-to trades, it'll change your trading. Because these are the type of trades we call in that room. 4 trade setups to memorize. Identified swings, how to tell when a swing is identified, whether it's lightning 1, 2, 3, or 4. All right, phantom trades explained in detail, 17-minute video. And then seeing the trade in real time. This is where we actually, basically, I opened the room on Martin Luther King holiday, and we did an actual, trade calling and recorded it. We don't normally record the trading room. They're just too large of videos. And then here's some other training right here. Okay, and we always keep up with our webinars. Are always, the very last one is always posted. Mine tonight will be posted later. Okay, so that's for the new people. And let's go ahead and go to a chart. And what I want, first off, when you're trading, the most important thing you've got to decide is what direction are you going to go, okay? Because if you go in the wrong direction, you're going to get in bad shape real quickly. Because, what can happen Anybody been trading for a long time and noticed that if you're on the wrong side of a trend, they can kind of spike up on you if you're short, and they can kind of go down fairly quickly on you if you happen to be long? So always be on the right side of the trade. That's really important. Okay. So what I do each morning is I look and see, this was kind of sloppy this morning too. I noticed I had support right down here. Okay. See your thrust, retrace, thrust. Now everybody knows that on the left side of the chart that this is your lightning 3 identified swing on the left. Okay. Notice that right here you barely took out the top, so I don't consider this my identified swing. I consider this my identified swing. Okay, right here at 23. Okay, so I basically just draw on my charts and get ready to trade. Okay, the same thing with gold. Gold at the time, first thing in the morning when I get up around 5 o'clock, it was definitely in an uptrend, right? Pretty clear to see that. And so you just start drawing on your charts and you'll see, where to put your support and your resistance lines. Okay. I put mine as a rule with Lightning 3 because you're going to find that everything oscillates around your actual trend that's on the left side of the chart. For instance, everybody knows, we're going to talk about some stuff in hindsight because, a trade was called this morning in the room. So it's, even though it's hindsight now in the webinar, it wasn't hindsight then because it was called actually in the room at the proper time. But we knew that we were heading up on oil, not down. And this was, by the way, at about 4:50 in the morning. This is even before I get up. Okay. I like to trade around 5 a.m. For some reason, I just started doing that a few months ago, and I could set the alarm for 6:30 in the morning, and I'll still wake up right on the money at 5 minutes till 5. It's weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the actual chart. And what I'm going to do, we're going to run 2 charts here. And we already know by looking at our chart that we've actually got, a pretty good little uptrend going, right? So what I normally do is I look to the left to trade the right. See your high, your low, your high on gold. So I put a little line right there. All right. I've got support right under here also. Okay. See the little high, low. You didn't get a higher high, but I still consider this to be support when they kind of bounce off of it. Okay. And you're going to find that continually that they do that. For instance, if they chop around here for 3 hours, and still hold this support level, then more than likely you can get you a trade in here. Okay. And the best way, now keep in mind that some of our favorite trades are mid-band trades. As you can clearly see, if you were up, you could have gotten this little trade right here. Okay, that's if you were up. That was before 5 o'clock, unfortunately. So I missed that little trade this morning when I was trading. And that's going to happen. That's just the way it is. Okay. All right. Over here, let's say that you were getting ready to trade this gold chart right here. Does anybody see a trade setting up on gold right now? What would you do? Could you use the tools that we've given you? Like with Object Trader, to give an example, could you use that tool? Could you use the support and resistance lines? For instance, like let's say that, okay, looking to the left to trade the right, I do not expect them to take out this swing. Okay, simply because they won't be heading up if they do. Okay, everybody sees that, right? So I would be looking for a little trade. I'd probably draw a little box, like right in this area here, like so. And you can use the region tool to give an example. All right, just hit your insert key, bring it down in your little box. You're thinking that it's probably going to bounce off this support. See your thrust, retrace thrust. You got a little support right here. So I would probably, in a case like this, not knowing for sure if it would come all the way down to my predictor or bounce off of this box, I would probably use both. Okay, and the way you can do that is I usually like to set mine up at like touch plus 2. Okay. And in a case like this, I would do just one first off, just in case. And also keep in mind what you want to do. Basically, when you're trading and you're kind of going, let's say you're starting to kind of head down just a little bit, like, a little thrust, retrace. You've got to kind of wait for it to also, get ready to get back going the other direction. Okay. Because otherwise you can catch a falling knife, to give an example. Like, when you look at this chart, you don't know for sure they're not going to break this support right here, simply because looking to the left to trade the right, that's a high, that's a low, and that's a higher high, and that should hold if we're going to head up. Okay. But you got to be ready just in case it doesn't. Okay. Now, you can use trend lines on your charts. You can use boxes on your charts. Let's let this thing go a bar or so at a time. Let's see if anybody can kind of pick the trade out. Let's see if anybody can pick it out. So you had a bar up and a bar down. You got a bar going up right now, or trying to anyway. Now we missed this one over here, unfortunately. See? So I'm not one of those that chases it unless you want to just try to go up here. Okay, like for 10 ticks, for instance. If you want to try 10 ticks, then you probably just want to buy it, let it go for 10 ticks, put your stop nice and tight at mid-band, and see if it would get up there to that top. Okay? But if you buy it late, for instance, I wasn't up at 5 a.m., so could you actually take a bar close to the upside? And the answer is yes, but you want to watch your coin. Watch and don't let it see it's going green. You're okay still. And it looks like we're going to be in a decent trade. Okay? So you can chase them like that as long as they go your direction. Okay? See how that's kind of just popping up there a little bit? All right. Don't be afraid to take a trade. If, for instance, it's easy to look at a chart and say, wow, that was a good entry. Gary teaches that and Charles teaches that. But it was also at 4:50 in the morning. I wasn't up. And sometimes you'll get up and have some of your better trades actually, already have started, but doesn't mean you can't go ahead and take something. Now look there. We just bounced off of 1300.50. Right here where our support is. Okay, and we've got one contract. Now what we can do actually is, just in case it goes down to like right here where that support is, we could add one, or we could even add one if it comes out again with like touch plus 2. See, right now it's touch plus 2, but it hadn't done another tick yet. That's the way you can do that if you don't want to, jump in with like 3 contracts all at once. Okay. Now that one didn't come back in my box, so we probably won't get the other trade. But could you be ready for this trade, like wedge, to give an example? If it breaks that wedge, maybe add. Yeah, that's what Object Trader was built for, was so that a person could get in the trade, even add if they wanted to, like a trend line break or something like that. Okay, see if this goes 2 ticks above that line, or I could even do it with 1, and then it just has to go 2 total instead of 2 plus 1. And what I mean by that is, when you set it for touch plus 1, it has to touch one tick above that trend line. Okay, let's go ahead and do it with the top one. The T button, the bar has to be under, and with the B button, it has to be just above it. Okay. So if I'm trying to get this trade right here, this is going to do touch plus 1. Okay. And then a confirmation tick if it breaks that line. Okay. So we've got our trade in. We're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and tighten my stop just in case. It's 10 ticks so far, but if it pops up above this and starts getting the stair stepping, we'll tighten the stop even more. Okay, now notice right here, it looks like we got our 10 ticks. We're protected now, just in case it, see it just hit that top. We may not get 10 ticks. It may take us out. Just because if you draw a line across the top there, see it? Right there, they just hit that. Could it go a little higher? It could go here. Okay, so far we've got like 80 bucks on that one. Notice that I didn't chase it with like several contracts. Okay, because we missed the opportunity at 4:50 a.m. when we weren't up. Yep, got us 100 bucks. Okay. Now notice that the goal, by the way, is also, see how it's in one contract right now? Now when you use your object types, keep in mind that you can turn on an object type of your choice. You know, to give an example, like I've got a wedge turned on right now. What if I decided that instead of the wedge, I wanted to do maybe that power meter or maybe stealth? I can actually change it on the fly even if I want to. Okay, if I change this to stealth, to give an example, that's no longer a wedge, and that would have to get a green stealth to ever fire those two contracts. Okay, but until it does, I can change it to whatever I want it to be. Say I just change it back to a wedge. Now this would also be a good box. See it right here? See how you can see where you're getting a little candle up? That's what we teach all the time. You know, wait for it to quit stair stepping down, and there you go. You just got your trade. All right, now we're going to tighten our stop right underneath that lightning 3 swing. We're not risking that much now. Okay. Now, if you want to trade against a trend, I'd highly recommend only doing it with like trendline, our trendline feature, which is the wedge, because you can, if you want to, you know, I'll give you an example. Let me just show you here. See how that's doing a little thrust, retrace thrust? Could you take a chance with our tools and say, you know what, if it breaks that line, I'm going to short it, and I'm going to go 2 contracts for like 10 ticks. Could you do that? See, there's your trade. It just broke the trend line. You'd put your stop just above here, just in case it decided to bip up there and keep trucking. Okay? But if you want to trade trend lines, you certainly can with this particular trading system that we got. We probably made a mistake on that one because that was a little bit steep of a trend line. But let's just see if it did. I'll put it on exit on close. See if it was a mistake or not. No mistake. Got it. Okay. See how easy that is to use these tools like that? You know, could you draw another trend line and see if you get another trade? Absolutely. Take your trend line. See, that's an object type, so we're using wedge. That's the T button, which means long out, touch +1, and I could wait for it to actually break this trend line and see if we could get a few ticks. Okay, now we got other tools in it too. Tonight's about teaching several of these tools, okay? Because to give you an example, let's say I didn't want to use a trend line, but I wanted to only do it if this power meter goes back green, okay? The way I do that, just erase everything. Start with power meter. See here, power meter. And we'll do long. We'll only go for like 10 ticks. Let's see if we can get something like that, just for the fun of it. And by the way, when you're trading, if you get a certain amount in the morning, how many of you turn it off? How many of you like to just, you know, you're good to go, you're nicely green, you turn off the machine? What do you think? Because that's what a lot of people do. Let's see what our gold's doing. I hadn't paid attention to it. Oh, we're still okay. See, it hit that top, so you should have taken some coin up there. Everybody sees that, right? Yeah, go to Sim. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what. There's your trade. And we got stopped out on that one. Now, does anybody remember this trade? I got that going too fast. Sorry, I missed that trade. Everybody remember this trade? I called this in the room this morning. Everybody remember that trade? Let me show you how to take that trade because I said I was going to do that tonight. Notice how you just popped right up and did a wonderful job on that. Let's go ahead. I want to show this trade right here and how to do it. Okay, because this was called in real time in the room this morning. And I also want to teach everybody tonight that has not seen what a phantom is. Phantom can be one of the best trades that you can make. Okay, but you have to do them by a criteria. And that particular video that I've got will show you how to do that. Okay, but this was the first time into Phantom. And what Phantom will do on a long, you'll get this background. Always. Without fail, you'll get this background. All right, on a Phantom short, you're going to get this background. See it right here? This is actually just a variation of shade of this color to this color right here. Okay, but notice how that's a Phantom short. Okay, so the way you would do that trade is you just simply box it in and see it just stair-stepping down, start stair-stepping back up, draw your trend line, you get out. Okay, that can be an excellent trade. By the way, if you think of this trade with a couple of contracts, and you can clearly see that this Phantom trade, let's say that you got filled somewhere right in through here, and you got out like on a trend line break, because I like trend lines real well. I would have drawn it more like that right through there, gotten out right in here. Everybody see that? So let's see what you would have had. You would have had about 17 or so fill, and you would have gotten out at, say, 01. So that's a 16-tick trade, 2 contracts. That's a $320 trade. Okay? Doesn't seem like it would be, does it? But they are. And then look at this mid-band trade right here. Mid-band trade. Another mid-band trade. Mid-band trade. Mid-band trade. Phantom trade. All right, let's back this up, and I'm going to go ahead and back this up so you can see exactly how to take this trade. We'll go to 720 or so we can get rid of that. I'm going to show you how to take that trade. Okay, there we go. All right, so you get up in the morning at 7 o'clock. We don't open our room, by the way, until 7:55. So let's fast forward this to about 7:50. Good enough right there. See 7:50? All right, so you're starting to see this right here. And by the way, remember I even shorted this morning myself, okay, because I saw this was actually breaking mid-band, and you got a quick little short, and I called it down to Phantom. And I said, Phantom trade, you're looking for the trade in this little sweet spot right here. You want it to go between line 2 and line 1. Okay? And the way you have to take that particular trade is you want to actually either box it in or use a trend line. Okay, see, you can see it clearly a trend line right now. See your high, your low, your lower high. You could draw a trend line right there. Okay. So if you used wedge to give an example, let's just show it on 2 charts for the fun of it. Let's go to, we don't care about this one anymore. Let's go to oil on this chart too. I want to show you how to do 2 different ways to trade that. All right. So let's see. Let's just go 2 contracts. 2 contracts. and we're going to use a box on this one and a wedge on this one. So we'll do a wedge, which is your ray. And on this one right here, we're going to box it, but we'll keep moving the box until it actually, you know, stair steps. In other words, what I'm talking about, let me just show you here. If you do a box like right now, to give an example, okay? Now, this trade would be boxed in right here if it took out the top of that box, okay? But we really want this trade down in this area right here, if at all possible. Okay, but what if it was to break up right here? Well, your trend line would catch it. See how your trend line could catch that trade? Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll move our box accordingly as it moves. Don't have our long on yet. All right, it's still heading down, right? So far. I usually kind of bring the box down like a third candle, like a 1, 2, 3 reversal. I like it where it pops up above line 2 to get the trade. And there's your trade setting up. Got a close of a bar instead of a touch. We'll wait for a close, that's fine. All right, there you go. All right, then move one of your targets totally out of the way. Get your other target up like near a swing or even a predictor. Okay, move your stop as quick as you can, but you got to have a little stair stepping happen first. Okay, and that really did a good job. There you go, and your stop goes to break even at 20 on mine. Everybody see how to do that? Now, remember this trade? This was a legitimate trade in the room this morning, but look how beautifully that did a trend line break. It did a box break, okay? But notice it didn't come all the way down to line 1. But if you boxed it in at line 2, remember in the room this morning, we had it boxed in just like this right here, just like that. So when that went above that swing right there, whether you wanted to touch or close, you could fire that trade, okay? Now, what I like to personally do is just move a target out of the way entirely. Let's see, can you explain the candle 1, 2, 3 you mentioned? Sure. Like, to give you an example, like, let's say you were watching this. We were watching this in real time this morning, okay? So if I was actually like drawing a box here, I would just simply wait for, you know, like you got a candle back, you got a candle up, you've got a 1, 2, 3 like reversal, okay? Sorry, I accidentally hit my mute. Okay, so what you do when you do a 1, 2, 3 reversal, now keep in mind on a 4-range chart, 1, 2, 3 reversal is, you know, pretty minor because they're 4-range bars, okay? But like right down here, to give an example, let's say that you were just got up at this particular time and you saw this candle up, this candle down, this candle up. Well, a 1, 2, 3 reversal on this one would be a break of this little candle right here, because it has to break. You know, you've got your candle up, candle down, candle up, so you box it, okay? Now, remember in the room this morning, by the way, at 8:30, we got a little pullback. Remember everybody on oil? Like that, remember? Okay. Now, how would you take that particular trade, by the way? What do you think? I mean, you're missing it if you didn't already get it, okay? Did everybody see the trade set up? Because sometimes they don't give you a whole lot of time to do it. Let me show you the 1, 2, 3 reversal on this one. Candle down, candle up, box. Everybody see that? So we missed that one to add one. I'm going to go ahead and add them anyway. But see here where you have your down candle, your up candle, and you just simply break to the upside above that. It's 1, 2, 3 reversal. Okay, boxing it in, like Charles said in his webinar on Saturday, to give an example. These candles are heading down. This is the first candle right here that started heading up. Okay, so you've got to have that candle at least head up so that you can get that box. Okay, now there's times if you see it just hit mid-band. I had a line drawn on this morning. If I remember right, it was just right at where, you know, we called the trade in if a person wanted it, because these turned into monster trades, by the way. Okay, and you can definitely add to your bottom line on trades like this. Now, what if you're a little bit more of a, you like to get in and out? Okay, because with oil, you know, if you wait all the way to mid-band, you're going to give up 24 ticks on every pullback that goes up into that phantom area. Okay, so you don't have to do that. You can actually draw trend lines and things like that on it and get out of the trade, you know, accordingly. Let's see how we would get out. Matter of fact, it's doing exactly what I want it to do. Let's do a trend line, a wedge. And if they happen to take out that line by a couple of ticks, we're not going to short it, but we're going to take one contract off. Okay, you can use this to actually scale out of this trade. Okay, you could even use a region to scale out of the trade if you want to. Okay, let's see what this did. See if it takes us on our one. Pretty good. Now see, we could readjust our trend line a little bit. See the low right there? Kind of squeeze it up there a little bit. Or you could take both of them off if it breaks the trend line. You don't short it. Let's see, we've got 3 in, so we'd take 3 off. If it breaks our trend line, we'd take 3 off. That would flatten us out. Wedge touch, didn't take us. Move your targets if you want to. You know, you can scale out or you can actually take everything off the table. Remember this morning, we were in this trade and there were a couple of more that even set up, and I want to show you how to take those, because when we draw in the room, when I draw like a trend line to give an example, you know, you probably want to use your trend line, the wedge, to get in the trade. Let's see, so on the 1, 2, 3, do you use mostly touch plus 2? Mostly, Pat, as a rule, I do. I like these trades when they, you know, see when they break a trend line like it's trying to do right there, and you're flat. See how easy that was? Now, how would you get in this trade again if we didn't get out too early? We got to wait for a retrace. I draw on my charts. I see a swing right across here. I see a swing right here, just a minor one. And this would be a little sweet spot that I'd be looking to get back in. So how could you actually take that trade with the tools that we've given you? Anybody? Because it can be done. Anybody want to try a wedge? Try a wedge? All right, we'll do it. Let's see if we can get into another trade. Let's just go ahead and go with just one chart, so it'll be easy to see. I usually get rid of all my lines. Don't have a wedge to draw yet. You need a thrust and a retrace and so you can get a trend line. So we don't have one just yet. And that's fine. See, that didn't come deep enough. That's not a trade that I look for right there. Now, will it go on up? Probably, and that's fine. It can do what it wants to do. but we're going to wait for a retrace to get back in the trade. Is that our little retrace starting right there? Maybe. Still heading up so far. Still not getting a retrace yet. Always wait for that retrace. Or if you get in a trade other than that, you just want to scalp. Get some quick scalpy trades. All right, so far it's still heading up. It just broke our trend line, but that's okay. Still got like 11. Let's fast forward this a little bit, see if we can see the next one. There's a break a little bit right there. All right, does everybody see a trend line trying to set up right now as we speak? See, I like this particular look right here. When you thrust down, you get your candle down, your candle up, your candle down, like this right here. Could you box this? Yes. Could you draw a trend line on it? Touch +2 is fine with me. And by the way, if you don't trust that, just do like 1. You know, then because you can always add 1, like on a box break or something like that. But we actually do this quite well in that room, you know, drawing on the chart and everything, because you'll be surprised how often this works for you right here. Now you can clearly see you could draw a little box. Now if you're using wedge, you could always say, okay, you know what, if it breaks above here, I'll go ahead and add even 1 more. We'll let the trend line get us 1, and we'll even take it if it happens to break my little blue box. Because I can't do 2 object types on 1 chart. Now I could do 2 charts. Okay, you can definitely do 2 charts. Let's see if we can get something. And there's your trade. And there's your, I would just simply add, see how it took out the top of the box there. That's how you can use those trend lines like that. Put your stop nice and tight just in case. Try to take some coin up at the top. Stop at break even, because see how it's going up the scale now. Now, I want to show you something here also. This is a good time that you can use a feature that we got in Object Trader. Remember when we said in the room we were using line 6 as our stop? Well, you can actually use line 6 as your stop by simply going to the trend stop, put it on 6. See, that's 6. And we just simply enable it. Now, I usually like to do a close and then enable, and it'll pop right up there to line 6. Let's see, line 6, engage the trail. There we go. That's how easy that is to do. If you want to do an offset, you can do an offset by simply changing this, engage your trail. Okay, see how that's minus? So now I'm 3 ticks under line 6 on my runner. Okay, and we just let the trade ride until it takes us out. See how line 6, 3 ticks under, keeps heading up, and finally takes us, didn't get us yet, came close. And that got us more than likely. That bar's going to close, I'll bet you. Nope, it didn't. How about that? We're still okay. It just bounced off of a predictor. Line 6, 3 under, and looks like it's going to get you. Yep, got you. Anybody see another trade just set up just now? Trend line. If you see something like this in real time and you want to go ahead and take it, by the way, see that? We missed it because I didn't get to draw my trend line. But here's your little swing to the left. Could you add one? Could you add one? I mean, you know, the sky's the limit on trading. And you can always put nice tight stop just in case. I don't usually do that though. Let me show you what I do. If I'm in 3 like this and I see a little swing to the left, I'll put a sniper line in like so. All right. And then I just simply say, okay, sniper, short if it closes below it. And we've got 1 contract on, we'll take 2 off if it happens to break the sniper line, and you just hit your enter button. And that's how easy that is to do on sniper. That way I don't accidentally, get nailed on 3 contracts. This keeps you in a good trade. And basically, if it goes against you at all, you're going to get out of 2 of those contracts. Because what if this was actually a high, low, lower high, and they take out this low? Well, we don't want to do that with 3 contracts. Okay, because that would take a little bit of that away. So you can use sniper, under your little swing, and you can clearly see your swing. Just draw your lightning. See your lightning right there? Now that lightning should technically hold on a pullback. Okay, so I've got it set on close just in case. Okay, see how I protect my trade like that? Let's go ahead and fast forward it. Did it close? Didn't close below it. See there? Always look to the left to trade the right. And when you do that, you can actually a lot of times be in more contracts because you're going to simply get out of them if they happen to. See, I wasn't going to let that go very much against me with those 2 extra contracts. Okay? And that's the way you do that. Anybody have any questions on any of this so far? What I'm trying to show you here is how to utilize the object types. Because these object types that are built into ObjectTrader, you can only use them 1 at a time, at least now. In the near future, I plan on getting it to where you can use them like a region box and a trend line, and then click little switches, so to speak, that will let you use all of it if you want. Okay, that's my goal. All right, but I think you could clearly see that turned out to be a monster trade. Does anybody remember where I had a line drawn on the chart in the room this morning? It was 64.27. Right there. Remember that? And also said in real time, if it blows through it, stick with the trade. What did oil do? Let's fast forward a little bit. Now, does everybody see? Here's another way you can get out of trades too. See your lightning, your identified lightning right here. This is identified lightning right there. On the money, that's your identified lightning. So could you put your stop at identified lightning? Yes. Could you put it on a trend line? Draw your trend line under your lows. I like to draw it like under these lows here. See not so much under here because this is way back. Here's your high, low. See how it's kind of respecting that trend line? You could get out of that trade if it breaks that trend line. And we've definitely got the tools that'll do it. Now, if you're a gutsy trader and you want to actually short it if it breaks that trend line, I want to show you how to do this if you want to. Now, keep in mind we're long 1. So if I wanted to short this, if it broke this trend line, I'd simply go short, reverse. Okay? Because if this was to hit this little trend line by a closed bar, then we could go ahead and take a chance, for instance, that it's done. Because trend lines are really good. I mean, if you use trend lines, you're going to find a lot of times they work quite well. Okay, I think better than any kind of moving average or anything like that. Because does anybody remember on oil, called it out at 27. I think oil went up possibly a little higher than that, maybe 10 ticks or so. Anybody remember that? Could you readjust your trend line? Like so. See how it's forming a little trend line? You're trying to get a higher high again, so that is a legitimate trend line. Now, I'm not trying to show you this to actually get you going short against long moves like this, but you'll be surprised if you use some of these trend lines. Hopefully I don't get in this one accidentally. Like that. If that breaks that trend line, it's probably not holding up. And we do have the tools built in here where you can absolutely reverse it. I can even draw another trend line. And this is now my trend line for the short outside reverse. And I could even turn it on where it would do this one also. If I wanted to try one contract, if it broke this trend line, and I'd add one contract if it broke that trend line. You can do that type of thing. Okay, just trying to show you that you can use, because somebody asked this morning, you know, what would you do if you were short here, like you decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and box this and try to get down to Phantom. Well, that's a 10-tick trade. So with two contracts, that's a $200 bill. But remember, in the room this morning, we talked about, though, this was a Phantom trade. So if a person was short here, could you have actually reversed this trade like so? And the answer is yes. You just have the region turned on and the same thing reverse on long. Okay. So we built a lot into Object Trader. Let me show you here. This is going to reverse this one. Watch it. See how it's tagging that trend line? Did it close the bar yet? Not yet. You can change this to touch instead if you want. Touch +2. See, there you go. You just got one. You could add it again by simply, and see how it reversed it instead? It was long and then it went. So to reverse a trade, it's going to close out your long trade, and it's going to obviously then short however many contracts you have down here. Okay? Because trend line breaks, what will happen a lot of times when you get a good trend line break, and by the way, I put my stop just right up here, just in case this decides to go up instead. Okay? But a trend line break like this, you'd be surprised. Sometimes you can get pretty decent little move on it, because when they break micro, they go down and check medium swings. See there? That's how you can use the trendline tool, and even reverses if you want to. Now, does this look like a mid-band trade? What do you think? Could you box it in? Absolutely, you could box it in. So let's see here. Well, actually, one thing you want to keep in mind too when you're trading, very important. Let's see, 1, 2, I consider that 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot. So if you don't want to box this in and you want it to stair step first, you could turn on this little feature, PM1. And if this happens to go green, you could go in 1. Okay, let's see. Current high on CL was 64.77, pulling back some right now. Oh, I'm sure. Matter of fact, all oil did after we closed the room. I didn't trade it personally after the room was closed, because, you know, one thing you can always do if you want to be nicely green. By the way, this little trade right here is not a bad trade to look at, because if they break below midband, it could actually break. Well, it did touch, so I'm in. Wanted to do close. Let's do close instead. And then I would definitely protect some if it came down to right here. So I'd probably put my target right there, because that's what they're trying to do. You can tell they are. Let's see, do I add on a new high? Greg, on your question, well, keep in mind that the one thing you want to get in the habit of is never overtrade. You know, like let's say for instance, now if you got a trend going like we had this morning, yeah, you can jump right in. Just don't let them go against you. Okay, but to me the best way to do, like see for instance, I would be looking more than likely for a long here again. Right, so I would probably close that out. And if this little puppy broke above that line 2, I'd try for a 10-tick trade. And now it's even at line 1, so I'm going to go even a 1, 2, 3 reversal. And there, see, I just got one. Okay, why did I do that? What kind of trade was that just then, anybody? It's a phantom, isn't it? It is a phantom trade. Will it work? Well, nobody knows, but I'd put my stop just under that swing just in case. I'm only risking 5. And look to the left to trade the right. There's resistance right there. Now I'd put my stop right here. May not get anything. It didn't go up to my resistance. Usually when they do that, I close them. Because see, that held resistance. And I don't like it when it holds resistance, because now they could actually change trends. If they change trends, what you're looking for is you're looking for these predictors. Let's see if we can get a predictor. Okay, we got our mid-band changed. Here's our predictor. So if it gets up right here to this predictor, we're going to short it and try to take 10 ticks. Let's see if it does. But we've got a tool for that, you know that? We can just simply use our predictor. PM1, short, touch, +2. Let's see if we get a predictor trade. Not PM, predictor, sorry. Predictor. I think I just missed it. It hit my line. That's all right. We just missed it. Okay? Everybody see how you can use these cool tools, though, and really make some good money trading? Because each and every day, these trades are called in the room, and we get nicely green every single day. And by the way, just trade this first hour or so. You know, the room opens at 7:55 every day like clockwork. Could you be through when this trade was up here and not even get in this trade? And what if you said, you know what, I'll try one more, but maybe I don't want this one? Well, that turned out to be a monster, didn't it? But you can take any trades that you want, you know, because the whole idea is when you get nicely green in the morning, and by the way, if you want to really, to give an example, trade somebody else's money, I'd highly recommend just, you know, trading for a little bit. Let's see if we can get one. I'm going to short that for the fun of it. That just hit resistance. See if we can get 10 ticks. 10 ticks. 10 ticks. Got it. And if you think about like oil, to give an example, could that add to your bottom line? That just added $200 real easily. Where would this trade, if it decided to go back up, where would it do it? Anybody? Lightning 3? If you look over here, you've got a lightning 3 right here. Let's just see what this did. I might not have the date on here. We'll find out. Breaks up above here, they'll be changing trends, but we don't buy breakouts. See, it broke up. That wouldn't have been a bad little breakout to buy. Here we go. We're getting a higher low. What do y'all think? Anybody want it? Could you draw a trend line? Let's see if it'll work. That's not my favorite background for a trend line. That's more of a phantom, which we missed up here. We didn't get a phantom though. Let's just try it though and see. I'm going to go only one on this trend line break. Let's see if we get one. Oh, I'm on predictor. Duh. Well, I'll have to redraw my wedge now. Let's just redraw it. Sorry about that. Touch plus 2. Don't be on the wrong object type if you're trying to trade a wedge. You want a wedge. See if a wedge will work. Still heading down a little bit so far. Did not get a phantom though, so I don't particularly take this particular trade short. Because when they break above lightning 3, I'm expecting a trend change actually. Let's go for it. 2. Touch plus 2. Long outside. See, it didn't do 2. Plus the confirmation tick. There you go. Put our stop nice and tight just in case this thing comes back down. Everybody see how to use wedges, boxes? You know, the wedge is actually a trend line, but the thing I like about the wedge also is that the wedge can be drawn on your chart as an actual triangle too. You know, if you want. Let me put this on exit on close just in case. Give it just 2 ticks of wiggle room just in case. Feeling a little heat on that one. Let's see if it'll. If we get a higher low, it's going to take it up. If we don't, then it's going to take me out. Now I'm going to retighten my stop. See how it's trying to take out the swing. And we're good to go. I could probably go to break even by now. Okay, so I can't lose anything on this trade at all. Okay, that's how you use the wedge tool. That's how you use the PM tool. That's how you use the region box. You know, could you have boxed this thing at region to give an example? Well, let's just see if it'll work for the fun of it. Charles loves a mid-band trade. Let's just see if a mid-band trade will work. Region, box it, breaks above, I'll take it for 10 ticks. 2 contracts, yeah, that's good enough. We'll do touch plus 2, and we'll see if we can get a break on mid-band. And one thing I want to mention too is when you get every single day when you're trading, you know, I talk to people all the time. You know, we get people in from all over on trials and things like that will tell me they end up like over trading and things like that. I'd put my stop just under here, just in case. See, that's a little mid-band box. Now my trade was better than that though, wasn't it? The little trend line. But looks like the mid-band trade's going to work too. And could you go ahead and just run a runner? Yeah, you could sell like 1, for instance, just sell it manually even, and just let your runner run if you wanted to. Okay, and then let's put our stop just at mid-band now. We're still risking 9 ticks, but only on 1 contract. Okay, yeah, I had that on predictor just a bit ago. But let me show one thing just real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap because it's right at 8 o'clock. The way to trade successfully every single day, and by our trade calls, I do believe a person could actually do this too, okay? You could trade successfully every single day. All right, let me just put up my wife's deal here real quick. Spelled it right, I think. Yep. Because I want to show you that I didn't even trade after the room closed on hers. Matter of fact, we went out and did yard work together. Let's see. Oh, it wasn't on Top Step. Just one second. Got to be on Top Step. Here we go. All right, just real quick before we close, I'll show you something here. Now, Linda actually started her account in March. Okay, now with Top Step, you do have to go through 2 evaluations. All right, so she's in her second part of her evaluation right this very moment. She started this on April the 1st. Now notice that it's zeroed out now because it's a new day. Okay, but in 1 week and 1 day, she got it from 150 to 152,797. So she's well on her way, to going ahead and getting her funding. Now we've also got another Top Step account. It's on a separate computer. I'd show it to you too, but we just sent off. Matter of fact, just Friday for $3,000 on it because it was nicely up there, and we're gonna disperse some of the coin on it. I keep in my Top Step account. I want to keep about 5,000 to 5,500 in it. That way you don't accidentally, have something happen like, oil spike on you or something like that. You can't lose your account. Do I still trade my own money account? Yes. So when do you decide to do what now? Let me see. Mindy, you're asking. Truthfully, though, I like the idea of these type accounts simply because when you it basically keeps you in what I consider to be disciplinary. How many of you have revenge traded before? Anybody? Show of hands. Anybody? Yeah, see, I'm getting several people that are saying they revenge trade. Well, guess what you'll do? You'll blow your account. Now, what I did personally with my other Top Step account, I called the guy, his name's Mick. He's the risk manager guy at Top Step. And I told him that I don't want a $3,000 drawdown. I don't want to trade 15 contracts. And the reason for that is because what if you made one mistake? I think OneUp will do that also, Mindy. They've got the ability to do it with their computers, so they should. But I'm not showing this to, in any way, shape, or form to brag. I just want to show people that, the way to do this is just step it up. Keep it building coin. Okay? Because, if you average this out, if you take 27.97 divided by 6 days, you can see she's well over 450 a day. That's good. That's a perfect way to get funded in a month. Okay? But the disciplinary part of using another account like that is huge because I've done the same thing myself. Charles has done the same thing. Now, it's been a long time since we have, but I've revenge traded. They can sometimes make you so mad that you actually lose your sanity. And usually it's because you made the wrong, choices of where to get in to begin with. But the discipline part of using somebody else's is they're going to make sure that you don't do stupid things. Okay? Yeah. Now, the one thing about both OneUp and Top Step that is really nice is that they both have your discipline built in. If you're on a $50,000 account, you can't draw down more than $1,250 in a day. If you are on $50,000 account, you can't draw down more than $2,500 on a trailing drawdown. Okay. Now, the way I personally did the top step that we're funded on with the family, I made sure that I can't draw down, period. I told them, if I draw down $1,000, cut me off for the day. Because the only way that's going to happen to me is if, like, let's say, for instance, I was long on oil right here, and all of a sudden Trump tweeted something about, Iran's going to, be supplying all our oil for the next 6 months. You think oil wouldn't tank in a split second? And if you had market orders sitting here, your fill would be way down here, maybe down here. That's why it's so important to, have discipline built in, because that's the only way they'd get me for like $1,000. Because when we trade, we keep our stops nice and tight. Where would your stop be right now on this oil trade, for instance? Well, you got a high, you got a low. I'd be putting my stop right underneath there. Wouldn't you? That's the way you do it. So, also got word from our programmer. He was trading Object Trader live in the market today. I'm sure he was doing sim as far as it goes, but he was trading live, real time, in other words, and checking it out to make sure that everything's stable. So, gosh, I'm hoping I get that silly thing pretty soon. Okay, but I guess that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? Well, the one thing about it too, keep in mind also, let me show you something here. You can do this because, we're going to teach a person to do this. There's not a question about it. Look at, just to give an example, this was my OneUp account right here. They require you to do 15 days minimum. They require you to hit 3,000. And notice how good this was. This was way back in September, okay? But notice that I got the silly thing all the way to 8240. It was 100% profitable days, as you can clearly see. 15 days traded, 8240. And see how I keep the losses down? See, that's $163 on an average losing trade. Well, with 2 contracts, that's only like 8 ticks. Okay, but notice that my average winning trade was 408, more than double that. And then my average daily gain was 549, let's say 550. Okay, and that's the key to getting funded on Top Step and OneUp. Consistency and, just step it up there. But also be in our room each and every day as I call these trades, because in the room this morning, this trade was called in real time. Right there. And could a person have made money on that trade? Went all the way up here, broke the trend line finally. Charles got out of it at 27, if I remember right. Yeah, we try to call good trades. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed the webinar. Tried to show you several things about Object Trader that you can do with it. I mean, it's got some things built into it that, to give an example, you've even got a reverse at target if you want. How many of you have ever seen like a double top, to give an example, and it's going to hit its head for at least 10 ticks? Well, you could reverse it at target. Just tell it target 1, target 2, target 3, or target 4, whichever one you want it reversed at. Yeah, now, well, Kenneth, on wedge, you don't really have to worry about those prices inside, because of the way the algorithm is. But on the true trend, you do. Okay? All right. I think we've gone long enough. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope everybody got something out of it. Okay? And we'll see you in the morning. We'll do this again. See if we can get that Top Step account a little above 3 tomorrow. All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks.